And then I'm going to remember today to hit my Instagram.
Yes.
Hey, family. Happy Thursday. I'm
Hmm.
going to let our Instagram family into the conversation as well.
There we
Hey,
go.
Instagram. Hey, YouTube. Hey, Facebook. Y'all share the live. I'll make sure I start saying that because I'll be forgetting. Share the live. And it's always good to be in front of you every
Hmm.
week.
Hmm.
This is
Hmm.
one of my very favorite days of the week, especially now that the Bible study is every week. Look at God. Um, Thursday is my new favorite day of the week. So yeah.
Hmm.
So welcome in to everybody. Let's to had this conversation today about the episode that just dropped on Tuesday, The Ugly Side of Love. So we dropped part one. It was so quick. I was like, yeah, it was getting so good that I got to stop. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hopefully you checked it out. Hopefully it has blessed you as much as it has blessed us putting it together. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so we had had a conversation to go behind the mic.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. What were some of what were some of the things that you enjoyed us kind of tiptoeing into from this past episode?
Mm, my top one was how we end up parenting our partners
Mm.
um unknowingly.
Mm.
That was like my top. Like I wrote it down. That's how much it was like my top one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Uh-huh.
That's
Uh-huh.
very common.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. More than we know.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. No, I
Yeah,
agree.
what do we know? So that was one of my top ones. Y'all feel free to drop it in the chat. What was y'all's? Jay, what
Hmm.
was yours?
Man, there's so much. I feel like for me, I I'm a foundational person, so like anytime I'm trying to resolve something, I always go back to the design and how God intended it, and then I start with the next step is if I understand the design, then I understand the function. And so usually it's like, well, if this isn't functioning correctly, then what am I believing about the design? So I think just getting back to like asking God questions about like what aspects of love have I defined from my own experience,
Hmm.
and has my own experience that I've defined love from, has that opposed what you've always believed love to be, God?
Mm.
And anything that we define love to be, no matter what has happened to us or who has happened to us or who raised us or who hurt us or whatever has happened, none of that has should ever have the power to change what God believes about love, because God is the same. And
Yeah.
so I think, like, I say it a lot in a lot of the content I've shared over the years, but I feel like it just always goes back to us allowing pain to tell us what to believe about love.
Mm.
And anytime that pain is fathering us and telling us, it's like a blind person trying to articulate a person uh, that can only be seen if you can see clearly, right? And it's like we let blindness tell us the truth about something that only a seeing person can tell us. And I think like diving into that really gets to the heart of where everything is found on the ugly side of love, of how human beings can so easily start to independently start looking to themselves, into the world, into people, to start defining things that only God can. And I think that's always going to create some type of ugliness in the experience that we share, because even though it may seem true to us, if it ain't true to God, it ain't true.
Mm. Oh, that's good right there. I don't think we always check with God to see if it's true or not. I
We
think
do
we
not.
just go off our emotions, and because we feel the way we feel, and you'd have made us mad, it's the truth.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have sobriety. And we think
Mm.
sobriety is having a life where everything that you love to do or have make is easy for you. And
Yeah.
that's not sobriety, that's comfort. And most of the time,
Mm.
comfort is the thing that robs us of being sober. And then we start to see things and start to define peace and joy from this level of ease that we have. And then we start looking at our life and we start realizing, oh, I'm trying to define life as though I'm God. And so everything is
Mm.
defined from my truth and my own experience. Doesn't matter what you're experiencing. But if my experience no longer feels easy, then this can't be peace. And nowhere in scripture does it say that, right? If there's challenge, if there's a
Yeah.
hardship, if there's friction, if there's
Yeah.
misunderstanding, if there's assumptions, if there's trauma, well, clearly this person can't be in my life because everything that they bring to the table just brings forth pain. And then we start to disqualify people based on how weak they are in their humanity, as if
Mm-hmm.
we're God. And God doesn't even respond that way to our weakness. In fact, he wraps himself in it when he puts on flesh. So we know that that can't be God. And so all of a sudden, we start creating all of these, I would call insidious
Mm-hmm.
perspectives of how we live and define love to be. And there's no uglier love that we could ever try to pervert and claim to be true, where a human being is looking everything everywhere outside of God to define love. That is always going to be the ugliest truth of love. And it's always going to be the ugliest experience of love because anything that's not born of God is always going to be a hot mess.
Yeah.
I don't care how pretty it looks. I don't care how economically sound it looks. I don't care how picture perfect it looks on social media. I don't care how purpose driven it looks. If God looks at it and says that does not look like me, it's not love.
Mm. So let's lean into that because I think that's a great space to lean into. How would you define God's love?
Well, God's love is defined in 1 Corinthians 13, where he's describing himself.
Mm-hmm.
The love of God is a person,
Mm-hmm.
and God is a person. It's not an idea. It's an experience we have, but the substance of love is the person itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so God has always been love. And until we start to understand that God was always love before he ever needed to make anything, that's the part of love where we get stuck on. We think that God needs us in order for love to be found, discovered, and experienced, and for it to be tangible. And that is the biggest lie that we could ever believe in ourselves. God was already satisfied in him being love in the Trinity before there was ever a human being to inherit them or to be made in their likeness. And until we see God in the fullness of that, we'll never understand God as love. So when we read 1 Corinthians 13, and it starts talking about, for if you have the faith to move a mountain, yet you have not love, you're bankrupt. For you can
Yeah.
have all the spiritual gifts and all the prophetic gifts, and yet if you have not love, it's void. It means nothing. Well,
Mm-hmm.
what is he saying in that? Well, he's saying that you can do all these things and you can have all these experience, but if you have not tasted the substance of who I am as God without something to be performed, then you don't know what love is and you can't know me. Because before there was an in the beginning, I wasn't prophesying anything. Was love not there? In the beginning, there was no mountains for me to move to prove that I was God. Was I not there? Was I
Yeah.
not I am? Am I only I am when you have an issue? Am I only I am when I have to do something miraculous? Am I only I am whenever you have desperation that I need to fill? And a lot of us think that that's the love of God, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into all these things and it says love is kind, love is patient,
Mm-hmm.
love doesn't boast in its own, love doesn't demand, love doesn't strive, love
Mm-hmm.
doesn't celebrate injustice, love isn't
Mm-hmm.
jealous, right?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
what is
not
it
rude.
talking about? It's not rooted in all of itself. Well, I would say that the love that we believe in, even if we say that we believe in God, is born of ourselves. When we say create a list, ain't that list about you?
And what you want? Yeah,
Right?
we're trying to solve for a spiritual thing in a human, but in a from a human perspective,
From a human perspective.
which oftentimes the math will always be off.
Yeah.
Every time we're having to do that, um, for sure. So no, you're right. Yeah, we
Yeah.
create these lists, but it goes back. It really goes back to what I said on the podcast months ago that the only reason The reason we don't trust God is because we can't control him. So all of those things, even down to the list, right?
Mhm.
That's still us listing out the things that we're trying to control.
Mm.
Um, Not the list of things that we're wanting to become more of. What do
Yeah.
we want to become more of? Being kind and patient, and not rude, right? So oftentimes we list out things that we want, but we haven't truly become either. So so at that point it's like it goes back to this control thing.
Mm.
And I just don't think we're having enough conversations around what does God think about it. We're having
Mm.
more conversations about how do we feel about it, but not
Mm.
enough conversations about how does God think about it, and does
Mm.
what you think align with that. And if it
Mm.
doesn't, then the ugly part of it is us identifying that and making the adjustment,
Mm. Mm.
and
Okay.
not expecting the other person to be the person that makes the adjustment, if that makes sense.
Okay. So you just open up a can of worms. Let's open them. Okay. So the ugly side of love is that if you ever look in scripture, you never see God telling human beings to trust each other, but it's the one thing we say we have to have in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So who told us that trust needs to be in human relationship?
Ourselves.
You never saw it even in the beginning between Adam and Eve, where there was no sin or death present. He never told them about trust. The
Mm-hmm.
only scripture where it talks about it says trust in the Lord. It never says to trust in one another,
No, it tells us actually not to.
right?
Yeah.
So a we're already trying to frame a God designed framework
Mm-hmm.
from us depending on one another on something that only God can do. God is the only person who can be trustworthy because he's the only person that can give me a life and that can't be overcome. He's the only person that can meet my needs and never be insufficient. He's the only person that never changes. I know what God's going to be in every season.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I can trust him. I know that God has a character that can't be corrupted nor defiled. He can't be tempted. He can't be overcome.
Yeah.
There's no darkness in him.
Mm-hmm.
There's no adversary. There's no overthrower who can make him change his mind about me. There's nothing I can do to change his mind, right? There's no world that can be shown before him that's a better offering than himself to us, right? So that's why God is the only person we can trust because he's the only person that can produce that in and of himself. And it will always be. Well, that's what trust is. It's something eternal. The reason why I want to hit on something you said so beautifully, and I want to add it to the aspect of relationship. We can't
Okay.
trust God, so we can't control him. Well, the
Mm-hmm.
ugly side of love is the reason why we want human relationships with trust is because we think we can control the person since we can't control God. That's why we added the
Ooh.
language.
Look, Tamika said, make it plain, sir.
Right.
No, that's
So we add something that God didn't put in there so we can still have an aspect of trying to be God and play God. So I can have control. And the reason why we fear trusting God is because there's still something in us that believes that we can lose him.
mm,
We still have this like unworthy thing. And I'm like,
yeah,
how could somebody who literally put on your skin to come and reveal himself to you and then literally like come and like show every single part of himself. God unveiled every single part of himself. There was no hidden part by the time he got up from the grave. He showed every part to show how harmless he is towards us,
yeah,
how he could never abandon us, how worthy we are of him that he chose to make him home inside of you. There's no more intimate place than a person saying, I want you with the greatest desire of my heart than to make you the place where I dwell.
yeah,
And then you still question whether or not this person wants you. You know what that tells me? You still have not come into the substance of what love truly means. Because then going back to the second statement, we're still trying to look at each other to see who has lacked in becoming when that's not what God has asked us to do either in human relationship. God has asked us to behold his kindness, not to compare whether you're kind or not.
yeah,
When two human beings come to behold how kind God is, and then they're resting in the kindness of God and they're letting God's kindness serve them with life, guess what starts to happen? they start to realize they don't need each other's kindness because they already have God's pouring out in such a way that you can't contain it. Well, guess what happens when you realize you're not lacking in someone being kind to you? I start being kind to the other person without needing them to be kind to me, and I no longer see lack in them because they can't give me anything. We're coming in looking at people like we want someone to grow all the time, and that's not even God's perspective either. Like, we've taken on another humanistic belief system and made it spiritual without asking God, who's the author and creator and designer, is this how you made this? Do you want us to be in a relationship where we're constantly growing? And God's like, well, how can I grow what I've already finished?
So let's go into that. How can I grow what I've already finished? How do we know that it's already finished? For those that are asking, those who like our people that are, that are just, oh, and I see y'all in our comments too. Hey, Linda.
Going off. Go ahead. I see everybody. Church on Thursday. And so the finished work is that what was ailing us in human, God defeated once and for all. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. He won it. He overcame it. And so as we come into oneness with God, where the Bible says, for I die so that Christ can live. Well, what does that mean for me to die? People always say, man, carrying your cross. No, carrying your cross is the beautiful side of love, but people just don't know what it means. And then like dying to self, because people don't understand what it means, they think that that's the ugly part of love. And it's the most beautiful part. Well, dying to self is, I have come to the recognition, this is full repentance, that I realize I can't give myself a life that can overcome the death in me. There's nothing I can do, no matter how righteous, no matter how obedient, no matter how much I practice all these spiritual things, no matter how much good moral character I have, no matter if I choose the right political party or not, whether I choose not to invest in this company because they're not ethical, all these things of thinking that I can produce a goodness that will pick up my life when death comes, I don't have that ability. So if God never made a human being to do that, then that means that version of you should have never existed, which means it has to die. Yeah. That's the death of self. A version of you that God never made, which was a human being with death in it. He never made that. We brought that. So that version has to die so we can fully live. Well, what does it mean to live? Well, to live is to see that God has always been my life giver. And so as a human being, I behold God's life, and I'm looking upon his life so lavishly that I realize no one can take it from him, which means he's the only self-existing being that can give me everything that I need, and it never runs out. Well, that's what I need. I can't find that in a human being because they will run out. Right? That's the ugly side of love, is that we believe we can choose a person that never runs out and then get mad at them when they do. That's the ugly side of love. And we're not even talking about running out like someone will abandon you. We're talking about the abandonment of the reality that this person at someday can't work forever to give you what you need. Nobody can work forever to make sure you have what you want. No one can do it because we age and this body's going to die and we get injured. And then things happen to us in life that affect us emotionally, that like nobody has that capacity. And we put that weight on a person, and then we realize they can't be God to us. Then all of a sudden, now we're questioning the validity of the relationship. That's the ugliest side of love. Yeah. And we try to work that and say, I want to fight for my marriage. And God's like, what marriage? This is not a marriage. This is bondage. And we can't discern between the two. And that's the ugliest part. We don't even know what we're fighting for. We're fighting to keep something alive that God's like, I want no part of this thing that y'all made, but I have something else that I've already finished. And we want God to be the God of the thing you made instead of God being the God of the thing he made. And we don't know the difference between the two. That's ugly. That's really gross and really perverse of us, of human beings, to think that all of our life experience has given us so much wisdom because we've gone through so much pain. I know now what I know what I want. No, you don't. If you have not seen God, that God is the desire of your heart and God is the fulfiller of every need, you will never be able to know what love looks like clearly because he's the first person you got to experience to know it.
Yeah.
And most people know God religiously. Most people know God through somebody else's opinion. Most people know God from who do you say I am? And then somebody else said that, right? And then we start to build a life from the reason why y'all ain't got it is because y'all read y'all Bibles. And I'm like, the Jews did that and look at their response. So that can't be it either. So we just keep mass producing perversion and gross things in the name of God and wonder why the divorce rate looks the same as the world's. So it can't be right because we're not the leading person in this area.
Mm-mm.
We keep repeating the same thing over and over, and the results look equally, if not worse, to the world and say that we're not the problem. That's insanely gross, Lauren. That's insanely gross. And we think more wisdom is, well, if you know this, well, if you wait on God this, and if you do this. No, it's beholding. So going back to the original beautiful thing you said, until we behold the person of God together in any form of relationship, doesn't matter if it's romantic or not, when we behold God together and realize that no matter what you do to me, it cannot take away the Father's love from me.
Yeah.
And all of my life is found in this person. And all of my life is found in experiencing this person. And all of my life was made, and my purpose and destiny is found in abiding in life with God. And it's got nothing to do with anybody else, just me and him. And when he is the focal point of that life between two people, now they're living in the becoming because they're beholding first. But you can't become unless you behold. And if we're beholding one another, Lauren, if you're just looking at me and I'm looking at you, and you're like, Jerry, you're so good, I want to be like. And I'm like, no, Lauren, you're so good, I want to be like. Then we've created idols.
Yeah.
That's idolatry.
Yeah.
And we call that growth. See how ugly it is? We're so blind to what love is that we don't even discern that we're in the opposing side of it and still calling it. There's nothing more blind than that. So when God is not the thing that two people are being fashioned from, so when we talk about the finished work, God's done, but you coming onto the belief is still happening daily. So God's persuading you daily. So that's why he says, for it's the workmanship of God that he will finish what he started in you. You ain't the workmanship.
That's it.
You ain't the craftsmanship. Listen, baby, if you couldn't be trusted with self and you had to die, God ain't gonna make you a new creation and tell you to start using your hands again. I'm gonna say that one more time.
Come on.
Everybody in the back. If you depending on yourself to define self and where life is found, and God said, let that person die, and then he made you into a new creation, the last thing God is going to tell you, pick your hands back up and start trusting you again with you. God is never going to say that.
Yeah.
So what we have to start letting be torn down is this stuff about self-love in self. That's one of the ugliest sides. Lauren.
Not a red flag.
It's burning. It ain't even got a color. It's just a fire on the flag. If I don't have the ability to raise myself from the dead, because death is my biggest enemy, not what people do to me, but death.
Yeah, but death.
If I can't overcome death, if I put up my dukes and I keep getting my butt toe up and I can't win this match, and he has, then guess what? And he says, I'm no longer my own. Yeah. You belong to me. I bought you at a price. Guess what no longer exists? Self. Oof. I don't own myself.
No.
How can I care for something I'm no longer in possession of? So if God says that he's made his home in me and he's the proprietor, he's the investor, he's the owner, and he's the one that works everything that is not right inside. You ever notice in the scripture, and I say this in the last one, trust in the Lord, lean not on your own understanding. And then what happens? Everything that is crooked, he will make straight. He's making it straight. So how do you know how to make straight if you've been bending it crooked the whole time? So you can't have, there's no such thing as self-love. What does that look? A human being can't love itself in the way in which God has already adopted the love for you over. God loves you so much and cares for you so much that he has emptied out and poured out all of his deity in the Godhead in you. What's left for you to care for, Lauren? If you're saying that you're practicing self-love, then that I would be really encouraged for you to talk to God and ask him, maybe it's because I believe you don't have the ability to cover all of things that I need. And we don't even know we're lacking in beholding God, that he has all the capability to care for all that I need. I don't even have to look to self. I don't even worry about what I'm going to have. I don't even worry about what I'm going to go. I don't even worry about what I'm going to eat. I don't worry about how I'm going to clothe myself. I'm like Jesus. He's like, there's no place for me to lay my head. You want to know why he said that? Because he was looking to the Father for every place that he needed to rest. He wasn't looking onto himself. So when we come into relationships, we're like, you have to make sure that I always have a place to lay my head. You have to make sure that all this space is always filled with peace. You have to make sure that I am always comfortable. You have to make sure that I'm always happy. You have to make sure that you're always leading me and you're always praying and you know these scriptures and you always got to. And we're putting God on another person and they can't be it.
That's why they're tired.
You know what I'm saying? So even with self-love, like coming into a relationship, thinking that your ability to love yourself can produce an ease in your life already tells me you're lacking.
Yeah.
And the world will tell you, oh, girl, you ready. Man of God, you ready. I would say you are the furthest from readiness because you haven't even believed that God is qualified and sufficient enough to take care of all of your life and care for you in such a way that you never need to look for yourself or anything else that you need to cover. So if we can't even get that right, if we don't even believe that there's nothing I need to add to loving myself because God has covered it all, then you're already positioning yourself to idol somebody else.
Ooh, say that again. Let's say that last part again about positioning yourself to idol someone else, because that's one right there.
If you have a wisdom inside of you where you believe that me loving myself is me doing all these things, then it's already a sign that you don't believe that God is qualified and sufficient enough to love self to whereas he doesn't need any of your help to do it. You are already positioning yourself to idolize someone else and for someone to idolize you. So all this stuff that sounds pretty, you need to set your expectations. You know what's funny? When two people are rested in God and all their life is cared for and they lack nothing, there is no talk of expectation. That's a worldly conversation.
Yeah.
How can I expect something from somebody that I already have covered? And I never run out of. So what expectation can you meet that hasn't already been met? See, we're still trying to produce a relationship that's still in compliance with worldly wisdom and wonder why we're in it. It doesn't reveal the foolishness of what they believe. I'm going to say that one more time. We're still in compliance with the worldly wisdom around love.
Yeah.
That when we come into it, even though we say we're with God and we know God and we love God, it doesn't expose the foolishness of what they believe because we believe it too. There's nothing more uglier than that than when God looks at his kids and they still believe that they're an orphan.
Don't even know.
They're believing they're still in the orphanage, and God's like, did my son not say, for I've gone to prepare a house to make many rooms, and then the house that he made is in you.
Yeah.
God has made his bed in you, and you're still looking for another bed as if you are still homeless.
Come on.
And call it relationship. So all this jargon, like we have to ask God, what does it mean to discern what you believe about love?
Yeah.
And what people are believing about love in your name, so we can know the difference between a counterfeit father and the true heavenly one. And because we don't know, especially Black people, I love us, but especially us, oh God, we are drawn to counterfeit believers. And I know that we have a history and a trauma that has a lot to do with that, but we have to still come to God and ask ourselves the question, God, are you still slave master in your identity? Or God, I may not know what it looks like to actually have a father that loves me that way.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to even comprehend what that really looks like. And that was like literally a conversation I had on yesterday was with a couple, and the husband had no father. So no physical, human flesh father, has one but doesn't know it, right? And so
Yep.
because there's no relationship there, it's like it's hard for us to translate this type of relationship
Yep.
when we talk about God, right?
Yep.
Because it's like, well, it's all one and the same. These two people I can't see. Two
Right.
people that say I'm bone of their bone and flesh of their flesh and they are my pain. Two people that have ownership of two people I can't see. So how do I tap into that type of relationship? And so
Yep.
what ends up happening is at that point it goes now we are basing our ability to have relationship based on our partner. So it's
Yep.
almost like a 2 for 1. Well, if you got faith, that 2 for that
Yep.
I ain't gotta get none because you got me one. Buy one, get one free. And it's like,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
that's not really it. And as you were talking earlier, I wrote this down because you brought this up around expectation, which leans into the conversation we're having now. Because we have expectation, now we can't have enjoyment
Yep.
because we're
Yep.
so busy trying to do the check box and make sure that you're checking off the list of making
Yep.
me happy, making me feel secure, making me feel confident, making me feel all of these different things that I
Yep.
can't even enjoy being with you. So
Yep.
there's no enjoyment here. I'm bonded to you, but
Yep.
it's not fun.
Yep.
It's no fun there. It's no excitement. There's no fulfillment there because now it's, I'm just carrying on more weight at this point. The weight of
Yep.
you and the weight of your expectations and the weight of your expectations that really should be your expectations with God. Like
Yep.
that's the one you should be
It's the
casting
only
that
person.
burden. Now, what he tells us, he cast your cares on
Yep.
me, for I care for you.
Go back
Suffer
and say
little children to come
who's the
unto
person we should cast them on?
God.
Say it again.
God.
I need it for the third time to make sure it's official on the podcast. We cast all of our cares on who?
On God.
Okay.
Because he cares for us. He already knows. He knew you were going to have that care before you had it. So it's not catching him by surprise that you have this care. He's just waiting to see, are you going to cast it on me, or are you going to call up, whomever and cast it on to them? And they can't even fix the problem that you have. Matter of fact, the person that you have the problem with can't even fix it for you.
Yeah.
Not without God.
Here's what's okay. So every time you say something, you like trigger to go into something deeper, and I love it. I'm
Well,
like, ooh, buffet. And you talked about wherever there's expectation, there's no enjoyment. And I'm just like, that is from the kingdom. And we think that enjoyment comes from us being the author of how we
mm-hmm,
see the person.
mm-hmm. Come on.
The Bible says, for the joy of the Lord
It's my
is our
strength.
strength.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, well, what does that mean, Lauren? That's the question. We go through scriptures,
mm-hmm.
but we don't understand the substance of the scripture because we don't see the heart of God. We don't see the person. Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, how enjoyment starts with another human being is that I see them the way that God sees them. And when I see the joy that he has of being
Mm-hmm.
God of them, it then I inherit his enjoyment and I'm sharing his enjoyment with the other person.
Yeah. And it's so enjoyable. That's why
Because
doing this is so enjoyable. The
it's
Bible study is so enjoyable. It's because we're
because
sharing him
exactly
together.
to one another, right?
Yeah.
So we're being human, as I talked about in this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and I bring it up a lot. And this is why I'm a human design coach. And I love that people are like, what is that?
Yeah.
Well, you have all these coaches and all these, right? You have a marital coach, you got a nutritional coach, you got a transformation coach. I don't know what that is, life coach, all these coaches. Well, you know what that says to me? I said, God, why are all of these people dealing with the pieces of a person or the symptom of a person instead of dealing with the root? And the reason why we have all these factions of coaching is because we don't know how to be human. When you learn how to be human, it gives you the clarity of how you are made to function with everything else that comes from your human experience.
That's good.
So you got people coaching you, and you may get wealthy, but you still got anxiety, still got depression, still can't stop dreaming, still can't stop going, still can't start resting. And like you have to develop all these mantras in order for you to feel like you're like, oh, I finally have rest because I keep doing this. Well, if you have to keep doing it, that's not rest. So when we understand how God made us, then we're able to have the right relationship with everything that he made us to enjoy. So when we get to that foundation of what it means to be human, why do you think the world doesn't teach us how to be human? It teaches us biology, but it doesn't teach us humanity. Well, why? Because then people would start asking the question, well, who made me? And then when people start getting a wonder of who made me and where does the image of my humanity comes from, they start crying out to God, who's the only author that can tell them who they are. That's why we won't let humanity in our education system.
Yep.
Because then the world will start to long for, as Solomon said, that the human heart longs for eternity. But as long as I show them their biology, but not their humanity, they think that the biology can satisfy the longing. And I'll hire 50 million coaches to keep that satisfaction in reciprocation, because until I see him, I'm fully satisfied all at once. Because now I know. Right? So when we start to discover what it means to be human, how God designed us, well, guess what Adam saw when he saw Eve? He saw what God made. He did not make her. That's why he was in awe and wonder. Man, God, I woke up and I was once dust in the ground. Now I'm breathing a living being, and I've been walking with you on the ground in all the days of the garden. Now I see all these things that you made, and I'm so in awe of it. And God's like, go name it. Oh, I get to interact. And so Adam is just animated by the interaction of all these beautiful creations. And then God's like, now I want you to know what it's like to be in my shoes, to look at something that has your image.
Come on.
And then he puts Adam to sleep. So Adam wakes up knowing he didn't make it.
Yeah.
So then God ushers Eve to Adam, and he's beholding what God made, and he names it, not because Adam is so excited to have it, because he saw God doing it. So he names her from the enjoyment of himself being named, from God enjoying him.
Come on, inheritance of enjoyment.
So when we're talking about what does it mean to enjoy a person, well, the reason why we're always on the ugly side of love is because the enjoyment is based on our own gaze. And as soon as you memorize a person, you didn't make a person, so you don't feel the way that they feel about them the way that God does. Go read Psalm 139 and see how God feels about a human being he's already memorized. That's an awe and wonder. How do you already know before I know?
Yeah.
And yet you're still in awe of the thing that you already know. I can't do that as a human being. I love Ava. I am not always in awe of Ava until something new happens. When I see the same thing over and over and over, I love my baby. And I'll lay my life down for my baby. But I'm not in awe. But God is.
Yeah.
Well, when you start to behold and get like, God, how are you so in awe of this person? They so nasty. They don't clean up after themselves. They always leaving drawers on the floor. He can't clean nothing. He can't pay a bill. Boy, don't even know how to turn his left shoe from his right. All we see is inadequacy, but from whose perspective?
Yeah.
And you know what God sees? God says, man, he's made in my image. Man, when he tells a joke, his sense of humor, you don't even understand how much it mimics me. You don't understand how much my heart feels so much lightness from whenever he's He's thinking of me. Whenever I see the things that bog him down, I know why there's weight on his shoulder. I understand why he's irresponsible, because nobody has ever told him what I believe about him.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, you didn't have a daddy or a mama. You still could have had a daddy and a mama who still didn't tell you what God believed about you. So it's still abandonment regardless.
Correct. Correct. You still walking around like a question mark when God was already the answer. So,
Right.
yeah.
So when we walk into the depths of what it really means to enjoy somebody, well, enjoyment from human standpoint of how God designed it is like when Lauren and I work together, my work is based on the enjoyment of me seeing God enjoying Lauren. And so Lauren has all these visions, Lauren has all these dreams. And so God has put it in my heart to partner with Lauren and being like, I want her to know that every dream I gave her, I really told her I was going to do it. And that excites God. Like, Lauren, I told you I told you in my own ability. I told you didn't have to lift a finger. I told you didn't have to carry it in your own strength. I told you that I was going to bring people around you. And I told you that as long as you depend upon me, I, God, will be the one who produces these things. Well, I'm just a partner in the thing that God said that he was going to do. And that brings God enjoyment. So do you know how exciting it is when we have Thursdays and we're recording and when we're into space together? I'm experiencing the enjoyment of God bringing something to life that he told her when there was no sign or proof of it that it would happen. That's the enjoyment. It's not emotional. It's not flesh-based. It's not carnality. Like, if I could be honest with y'all, I wish I could delete social media tomorrow. I don't have
no.
I have no desire. But the reason why the Lord keeps me in these spaces is because his heart like wants me to be a part of the things that he wants to see people like expressing his enjoyment that he brings to life for them. And I'm like, God, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that. So our Bible study, it's a space where people get to come alive. And whatever is hidden in them, it gets to come to the light. And all we do is reveal God, reveal God, reveal God, reveal God, reveal God. And there's safety because we're not using ourselves as the standard. Well, baby, if you fasted and pray like I did last year, if you would just do the Daniel fast, if you just read the Bible for a year, then maybe your life wouldn't be this way. There's none of that in there.
No.
Right? So these spaces are made to bring us all back out of the ugly sides that we think are love. Because when we actually know what love really is, there's no ugly side to it.
No.
There really isn't. When you see how God has formed it all to be, when you see people the way God sees them, Lauren, there's nothing but beauty. Even when you look at the darkness, it doesn't move you or offend you because you understand why it's there.
Yeah.
And so I know I just went in and I know.
Did you just went in? Oh, interesting.
I'm coming back to light, y'all, but
interesting that you just went.
Lord be saying stuff, and I'm like, and the Lord, it just like triggers stuff that I'm just like, oh. So blame Lauren for being a great co-host of always triggering like wonderful revelation that we all get to partake in through the show. But anyways, okay, so let me ask you some questions, Lord. I want to take my space away and put it upon you because I want the audience to hear your thoughts. What do you feel like? What do you feel like are the ugly sides of love that people are the most unaware of?
It's when we try to love from unhealed places.
Okay.
And we expect from those places that people can fill those spaces with healing, and we have that expectation of them. And so that to me is probably the ugliest side is when we try to love them with outdated and unhealed areas that don't, and especially the ones that don't align with God, especially for those of us who are believers and who are persuaded that God is exactly who he says he is. And so a lot of times we can say those things, but we're not really believing it. And you can see that in the way that we love.
It's so good. That's so good.
And we don't see that. because oftentimes the way that we love is the way that the world loves. And so because we have
Yeah.
more people giving us that dopamine hit and saying, yeah, oh yeah, and they're hyping that up, because of that hype, we think that
Yeah.
we are in alignment, but we are as far as from the north is from the south.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
That's the other side.
Yeah. How do
Yeah.
you get from the ugly side of love to the beautiful side?
Mm, that comes with asking God, what does the beautiful side of love looks like? I think
Mm,
we're always asking God, like, we're always prepared for war. So we're
mm,
always prepared to, like, if this
mhm,
happen, if this pop off, God, I'm gonna do this, right?
mhm,
But how often do we ask God to be like, to doubt the doubt, right?
mhm,
And be able to ask God, well, what did love look like when you designed it? Is this the
mhm,
design? You know, did it
mhm,
change somewhere?
mhm,
What are the signs that this is a beautiful sign in you? And then he begins to show you it. And it doesn't
mhm,
have condemnation. It doesn't have expectation. It doesn't have best behavior. It doesn't have conditions. And so when you begin to come into how he sees it, and allow him to uh, wash us whiter than snow, right? Wash away the thoughts that we had, and the ideologies we've picked up along the way, and replenish us with what he really always had. Then
mhm,
you love from a place of overflow and not need.
mhm,
Oftentimes we love people from a place of need, meaning
mhm,
I need you to love me back. I
mhm.
need you to do these things for me. I need you to uh,
Right.
love me in my love language for me to know that I am loved by you. But when your love, oh, this is so good. When your love comes from God, then you don't need the person to love you in your love language.
Mm-mm.
Like that whole barrier of like they need
Mhm.
to jump through all of these hoops in
Yep.
order to get your approval of love. You
Mhm,
take that expectation off, and then you just walk into the enjoyment. And then even if they're in the expectation of the other parties in that expectation, because you are so rested in God's love, and there's
mhm,
so much of it to give out that you're handing it out, they
mhm,
become just as persuaded as well.
mm,
So it almost like it catches on fire, right?
mhm,
And it moves from person to person, but it
mhm.
comes for us to first want to experience that with God. And
Yeah.
again, oftentimes we're still trying to experience that in a person, which is
Mm,
why we're not enjoying it with them.
mhm, mm. That's so good. I would also add, God, that's so good. I don't even want to say add. I just want to say, let me separate it because that was fire. Um, I think people perish because of a lack of vision.
Facts.
Um, Not only just the vision of God being the life giver of both people and the love giver of both people, but also the vision of what is born from two people walking together in that.
Yeah.
So if my vision has always been codependent on this person's going to show up and they're going to do this, and they don't understand that the life that the Lord has born for two people is to have a life of rest, because in the world, people know that they can do things that are really
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And not to say that some of it won't be persuading to them that God is the God behind it, but human ability, it looks impressive. So what is it the thing when two people come together in family, in friendship, in love, romance? What is it that people see that really behooves them and starts to really touch and create like an awe and wonder? And I think because people don't have a vision of what it looks like to rest with someone.
Come on. That's the one right there. That's the one right there. They definitely don't.
I I'll
Mm-mm.
say this, one of the biggest oppressions of why not only just dating relationships, but I would even say family. I can only speak in America because I live here.
Mm-hmm.
It's having this big divide where people in my age group, they say from studies, are exiling their parents more than they ever have before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, why people in my age range are more single than they ever have before, more independent than they have before, don't want kids as much as they have before. Where you see women coming into the workforce and women are having visions of life that men have always had. And so they've adopted it, right? And then formed it into their own feminist experience.
Yeah.
Well, if two people are now coming together and their vision is independent, then how could we, then what is the intent of us being together? And so one person has to be employed by the other in order for someone's vision to be fulfilled. It's a term that Lauren always knows that I use all the time. I was like, Lauren, I can't be employed. I can't be. I don't care who has a vision. If my space to be a part of that vision isn't something that is born from God, then
Yeah.
I'm an employee and I don't want to be I don't want to be somebody's laborman. That's God's job. And so I feel like when we have a vision of what does it look like to rest, like the stuff that we create, it's cool, it's great, I love it, it's amazing. I can be so thankful that the last 20 years of my life, God has a cycle of producing ministry and spaces where people can experience God in a healthy and safe and intimate and vulnerable way, right? My thing is not that space is happening, even though it's great. My space is what happens when people get off. My spaces happens when this live ends.
Yeah.
My space is what happens to them when the podcast episode is over and they have to go back to the thing that they were looking to find in the episode, in the live chat, in the Bible study. So we can even make the spaces that we are commingling in that bring forth a lot of beautiful things. And we can even start to turn those into idols because we don't know what it looks like to rest after we've discovered something. We don't know how to rest. We think that rest is sleeping. It's a biological form of that. Resting in the heart means that I am fully persuaded that I can never be separated from God and that the labor of my life is God. If I was to never lift another finger, if I was to never do a thing, my eternity is dependent upon being one with him and not doing anything for him.
Yeah.
How do two people form a vision from rest? And when the world comes together to see that relationship, and they're like, man, this is probably like, these are the most calmest people. Like, what makes you guys so, why is your home so calm? Why is, when I'm with you guys, there's such an ease between one another. Why is there no anxiety? Why is there no like positioning of power over each other? How come your roles aren't as like defined? How come, right? They're trying to, like, people are trying to understand it according to the worldly wisdom that doesn't match up. And then our response should be, as believers coming into love, is that, well, everything that I've ever needed has already been accomplished. So why don't I just enjoy what's been done with it? We look at a world and we think about all the injustice and corruption and death in it. And it's very sad. But we don't see ourselves seated in heavenly places next to the Father and next to the Son as our response to what we see.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that seat tells me, Lauren? Is that the victory has already happened. It doesn't mean that we're passive. It doesn't mean that we don't care what's happening in the world. It doesn't even mean we don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
But when something has been conquered and you have inherited the rewards of the conquering, what does a conqueror do? He rests in his reign.
Yes. Right.
What does it look like to rest in the Lord's reign with someone?
Man, there's nothing to do,
Just to be.
just to be. You
I tell you, I told people I don't think this is true, but I say it as like a funny thought between me and God. I said, God, people are going to be really uncomfortable when they get to eternity.
Hey, what we gonna do when we get there?
Resting,
Yes,
enjoying,
yes. And
dining, feasting,
yeah,
tasting.
exactly. Yeah, just taking it all in. I got to do that this morning. I just rested.
You know.
I rushed to do absolutely nothing. I didn't even think about anything that needed to be. And I just really enjoyed resting in
Mhm.
him. Like, wow, like this is my life. These are my boys. Like just really sitting in that space of gratitude, even this morning and thinking at 38, I don't have to rush to anybody, whatever. Like God provides everything that I need. He provides things that I don't even ask him to provide. Like it's beautiful. And so even when people come to my home, and they come into my space, whether it's to visit me or to fix something at my house, they always feel this spirit of rest in my home. But it's
Mhm.
because what's in here is rested.
Yeah. 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 So true.
Everything I have, God has given. And so I owe no man anything, nothing but to love him. And
Hmm.
I enjoy that ability
Hmm.
to just be like, wow, God, you really did all of this. This is so much fun. I really enjoyed this. Thank you. Right.
Hmm.
And just to enjoy him. But I do
Hmm.
believe that that may be something that we end up teaching on is
Hmm.
rest because
Yeah.
most of us are restless.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that is why we can't be restored.
Hmm.
That's why we can't enjoy what restoring even looks like. We can't enjoy what rejuvenation feels like because
Hmm.
we won't take the time out to rest because we're trying to busy ourselves to stay in control of the thing that God's like, if you just give it to me, I'll bear
Hmm.
it. If you
Hmm.
give it to me, I can. If you just pass me the ball,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
got you. So I
Yeah.
definitely believe that's something that I wrote that down as something that we'll need to teach at some point in our Bible study journey.
Yeah. Let's do it. I'm into it. I think it's one of the chapters in the book will bring forth a revelation of rest that I think will add to future themes that'll be taught and shared too. So how
I'm
exciting.
I'm excited. Well, I've enjoyed my time.
Yeah, today was a sermon. I'm sorry I went off. It was fun. Sorry, not
Yeah,
sorry.
he had his glasses on and things and that. Here we go. No, it was good. Sorry, not sorry. So listen, if y'all have not registered to join the Bible study, I
Yeah.
dropped the link. I'll make sure I drop the link in. I know it's on our YouTube channel. I'll make sure I drop it on our Facebook. We have our private Facebook group to join us as well. But
Yeah.
tonight it's going to be at 7 p.m. It's every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we would love to have you in our
Yeah.
space, in our home.
That
Welcome
would be
home.
awesome.
So we'll see y'all soon.
See y'all
Peace.
tonight. Peace.